Hello and welcome back to our next tech talk, which is from Proxyclick, who are discussing security for the hybrid workplace, a very topical subject at the moment. And they'll show you how you can use Proxyclick's latest features to provide flexible access for your employees, your visitors and contractors without compromising on security. Now, you'll be watching a presentation in a moment, and after that, you can put your questions to Andy Orwell, who's the Global Access Control Lead, and Francesca Giovanni, who's Head of Customer Success for the EU and APAC. So if there are any questions that come into your mind during the presentation, please do write them. There's a box on the right-hand side of your screen in the top right-hand side, and we'll put those questions to the team. But first, let's take a look at their presentation.
Hi, and welcome to our Tech Talk. I'm Michele Martinelli, and I'm a product marketer at Proxyclick. And today, me and our VP of Customer Success, Rafa Figueroa, will be showing you how you can operate a hybrid workplace without having to compromise on security. But before we get started, a few words about Proxyclick. Our cloud-based solution helps companies manage their employee, visitor, and contractor flows. We offer a digital logbook, emergency list, touchless check-in flows, access control integrations, health and safety features, and a whole lot more. We're used by companies like L'Oréal, Airbnb, and Audi in workplaces across the globe. But today we're going to focus on security. So we're going to start with a quick overview of the situation many companies find themselves in today. Then we'll have a look at how Proxyclick is helping companies face these challenges. Next up, Rafa's going to give us a demo of some of the features discussed. And finally, we'll take your questions. Let's get started.
It's been more than a year since I've been going to the office regularly, and I'm far from alone. But now, with vaccines being rolled out, it looks like the return to normality isn't too far away. But what is that normality going to look like? A recent study from the Boston Consulting Group found that 89% of workers favor a hybrid, flexible model going forward. Now, this was a global study of more than 200,000 workers across 190 countries, so pretty representative. And it gives you an idea of where we're heading. And now, as we move towards this increasingly hybrid world of work, companies are being challenged to provide more flexibility without compromising on security. They're being forced to reconsider how they keep their people safe and how they deliver secure and compliant physical access when businesses' needs can change every day. Because the truth is that no matter how your employees, visitors, and contractors flow in and out of your properties, security will always be paramount. And this quote from the VP of Future of Work Research at IDC really speaks to the fact that things have changed for the long term. There will be no return to the pre-pandemic workplace. And what we'll have instead is a richer, more complex relationship between people and the places they go to get their work done. And that's a world that will need its own security solutions and processes. And so on this slide, you can see some of the challenges that are keeping Keith, that's the security person in the middle, up at night. And broadly speaking, those are built around making sure everyone on site is supposed to be there, went through the correct processes to be there, and is respecting not only data privacy regulations, but also the privacy of the employees, visitors, and other people who access the premises. And I say that because it's one thing to be legally compliant, it's another to treat personal data with the respect it deserves, especially as COVID-19 has led to companies collecting more and more sensitive data around health, for example, whether or not someone has been vaccinated. But more on that later. And of course, Keith's colleagues, Amanda and Mark, have their own interlinked challenges. But for this webinar, we're focused on security. If you want to find out more about our health and safety offerings, please speak to our customer success team. So how is Proxyclick helping Keith and his team keep people and property safe in this new, more complex world of work? Well, I'm going to talk you through a few use cases and explain how some of our new and existing features will help you do just that. Now, when you invite someone to visit your workplace, ideally you want to avoid them getting stuck in a queue in your lobby, or worse, being turned away. With remote registration, you can ask them to pre-register before they arrive. That might mean collecting some details, asking them to sign an NDA, getting them to agree to health and safety guidelines, or even making sure they don't appear on an internal or industry watch list. More on that later. This feature lets you screen your visitors and collect information by asking questions, displaying messages, videos, and images. You can also use it with smart rules to decline visits based on their answers and protect your employees and other visitors. Now, it goes without saying that different industries, companies, and people all face different security challenges. And while some operate relatively straightforward spaces with limited numbers of people flowing in and out, others have to deal with added complexity, whether that means R&D facilities, locations with specialized equipment like manufacturing plants, or simply appealing lounge areas created for employees. These are all scenarios where an extra layer of security can prove vital. In addition, these days, companies also want to add an approval process for external visitors in the context of COVID-19. In many geographies, only essential visitors are allowed access to workplaces, and while general occupancy controls work well to stop too many employees showing up on a given day, visitors need to be managed more closely. So enter our brand new visit approval feature. It lets you better control your visitor flows by requiring invitations to be approved before they're issued. Whenever a new visit is created, the visitor is not immediately invited and is instead listed as in review in the logbook. A user with approval rights must then accept or deny the request to determine whether an invitation is sent. This powerful new control is an easy way to add an extra layer of security to the areas that need it, and it's available today. There are two sides to visitor management. On the one hand, you want your guests to have a great experience and feel welcome, and on the other, you want to make sure that no one who shouldn't be there is allowed in. People you want to keep out will vary depending on what industry or type of company you work for, but they could include disgruntled former employees, previous visitors who caused you issues. We've even had instances of stalkers, and this can go all the way through to criminals or terrorists. Watch lists can help you keep those people out. Now, there are two types of watch lists. An internal one, so that's one that your company compiles, and that might include disgruntled former employees, for example, and an external watch list. This will have been created by an external organization and could include known criminals. Now, when someone on the list tries to check in, Proxyclick alerts the people you choose in your company. They might be front desk staff or security. Either way, it lets them know who's trying to check in and tells them why they have been flagged. The alert is discreet, so you can handle the situation as delicately as needed. Now, let me ask you, do you have any formal identity verification processes in place? And if not, how do you know the people on your premises are exactly who they say they are? Verifying identities before granting access to visitors can play a key role in keeping your people and places safe. With ID Match, once your visitor scans both sides of their picture ID and takes their kiosk selfie, two things can happen. The images match and your visitor is granted access, or they don't and your security personnel can manually check. The process is really fast and accurate and greatly reduces the time it takes your personnel to manually check IDs, leaving them free to focus on their job. The feature supports more than 6,000 ID types, including state identification cards from all 50 US states, national IDs, driver's licenses, and passports from more than 200 countries. And if you're wondering if it's GDPR compliant, the answer is yes. It respects all data privacy regulations, and Proxyclick doesn't store any copies of the IDs, only the picture and the name of the visitor. Now, when it comes to access control integrations, Proxyclick is head and shoulders above the pack. And integrating with your existing hardware means your security team automatically keeps track of who enters and leaves your premises, where they went, and who they met. This also makes for an easily auditable process. On top of the security and auditing benefits, this means there's no need to manually update multiple platforms, as visitor and employee details are automatically synced. You can also provide digital access keys using the Prover app or QR codes, and grant or remove access to designated areas based on the latest information. For example, say an employee leaves the company, you can just take away their access. Or say a contractor signs an NDA, you can grant them access. Integrating with your access control lets you take advantage of your physical infrastructures without sacrificing ease of use and real-time control and visibility. Now, I mentioned privacy before, and I'd like to touch on it again because it's so important and it's always been part of Proxyclick's DNA. Firstly, we're SOC 2 Type 2 certified, which guarantees our processes and infrastructure meet the strictest guidelines. Secondly, we believe in easy customization. You decide which users have access to which information. Our user rights can be very granular. You also decide exactly how to tailor your flows. For example, some geographies might have different rules to follow, and you can adapt for each location. You decide what data to capture and how long to store it for. You can automate data deletion and only ask for the information you need. No more, no less. At a time when more and more data is being collected and includes health data, it's important to know that Proxyclick gives you peace of mind in this area as well. So I talked about customization, and that's what Rafa is going to give us a flavor of during his demo in just a minute. But first, I wanted to give you a few examples of how powerful these features are when used in tandem. So let me give you an example. Say, let's take John. He works for a manufacturing company, and he invites a contractor to visit the R&D lab to work on a project. He sends an invitation out via Proxyclick, but before it goes out, his supervisor receives a request for approval. The contractor actually matches a known criminal on an external watch list. Visit approval denied. The contractor never made it through the front door. Here's another example, this time looking at visit approval and an ACS integration. John invites another contractor. This time, the person doesn't get flagged, the invitation gets sent out, and the contractor is asked to sign an NDA remotely and watch a security process video. The contractor completes both and is sent a QR code that grants them access via the turnstiles on the day that they arrive. This QR code grants them access to not only the turnstiles at the main entrance, but also those at the entrance to the R&D facility. As soon as the visit ends, the QR code is deactivated. Smooth and simple. And now on that note, Rafa is going to dive in and show you how it all comes together in practice.
Thank you, Michele. Let's get started with the first step in the secure flow, which is, of course, the pre-registration of the visitors. With Proxyclick, you have the ability to pre-register visitors. That way you know who will be on your location, when, what time, and additional information that may be relevant to their visit. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and use my Outlook add-in. This is going to allow me to create a visit on my calendar, just as normally I would do for any of the events that I may partake on. Of course, I will be able to enter any information that is relevant to the meeting. So my visitors in this case are aware of the agenda, for example. And then in addition to that, I will have the ability to answer already certain questions that will allow me to identify any potential threats or allow me to identify any potential problems with any of my visitors. The way that we will do this is through answering the questions on the add-in and then attaching the meeting directly from here. Once that has been completed, those visits will automatically appear on my logbook. And as you can see now, these visits are in review. This means that my approver has now received a notification to verify and review these specific visits and to allow them to review the information that I have entered and make a decision if this visitor should be welcome in my location. The approver then will have access to the pending approvals queue, in which they will have access to general information about the visitor, the previous history of that visitor, additional fields like the company name or the reason for the visit, the license plate number, the mobile phone number, any information that may be relevant for them to be able to make a decision. And based on that, they will have the ability to approve or denied that visit. In this case, we're going to go ahead and approve this specific visit. And then at that point, the visitor will be notified of their invitation to Mindtech. Mindtech is a technology company that has a lot of proprietary information, and therefore the approval process is very important for them. This will allow them to protect them from any potential individuals that may possess a risk to their technology, their employees, contractors in the building, or anyone else in the building for that sense.
Hello and welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that presentation. And I'm really happy to say that with me now live, we have Andy Orwell, who is the Global Access Control Lead at Proxyclick, and Francesca Giovanni, who's Head of Customer Success for the EU and APAC. Welcome to you both. Obviously, the joy of living in the world that we are at the moment, the silver lining is we get to have you together, even though I know you're not in the same country. Francesca, where are you this morning?
Hi, I am in Brussels, so I'm actually at the office Proxyclick headquarters in Brussels, Belgium.
Okay, lovely. And what about you, Andy?
I'm down in Brighton.
Brighton. So sunshine, hopefully in Brighton, because we have some rare sunshine at the moment in the UK. I'm kind of enjoying it too. So that's always nice to see. So let's get on to the subject that we're here to talk about. And just a reminder that this is really an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you want to for Andy and for Francesca to answer. And we have a chat function on the top right-hand side of your screen. So pop in any questions while they're talking, and I'll try and put them to both of them. Let's just kick off, because we were talking about security for the hybrid workplace, and never has there been more of a need, I guess, for that form of security because of the way that we've been working from home. But now, with in some parts of the world, with restrictions easing due to coronavirus, people are returning to their offices. And Francesca, did you feel that sense of this is very timely in it, and how we can respond to the need?
That's a good question. So yeah, actually, I can say already that some certain features that Proxyclick offers today, they were already on our radar. We were already thinking about them. We just sped up the process when now that the pandemic hit, but we were just preparing to respond to COVID emergency, and all these features now, they are slowly, but like actually fast enough, not really that slowly, adapting to the return to work for all companies. All the features now can be fully customized. So it is true that we created and we offer them in response of COVID, but now can be used for health screening, for sending questionnaires in advance to visitors. It's possible to pre-register visitors and invite them to the premises and send them questions, or even include videos or messages that you can use to inform your visitors. You can inform them about anything, that it doesn't have to be only for things that are related to COVID or health measures. But you can send them agreement, NDAs, and all the information that you need them to have in advance.
Okay, so it's quite a range of things that you can send them. Andy, in terms of the sort of technical side, which access control system do we integrate with if we want this?
There's quite a variety, actually. Let me just quickly share a page from our website. It's probably the easiest way to show. So from our website, you can go to product and then apps and integrations, and you'll come to this page. So for access control, we've got a number of different on-premise systems, like you can see NetApp AOS, AC2000, CQ 9000, a load of different systems that I'm sure people will recognize, Lenel LongGuard, and everyone knows Net2. There's also some cloud-based systems that we've added recently as well. So there's Brevo, OpenPath, and Genia, two systems from Brevo, and we integrate with both of them. So yeah, there's a good selection, and more that we're working on currently as well.
Great. And Andy, for anyone who might have missed the presentation, just joining us, could you just give us a sort of brief overview of the product and what you see as the key benefits? From
the access control side?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So key benefits really are it's focused on the best visitor journey. So it means that you can invite someone and they don't have those usual stopping points where they get to your front desk and they need to speak to someone and say who they are, and they then need to be onboarded into an access control system. These are the things that our integration automates for you. So it takes out, on the security side, it takes out any element of human error that can happen. People are given the correct access. People only have the access that you want them to have at the times that they should have, and all of that's automated as well. Their access is removed when they no longer need it. No one has to take that away from them. All of that's automated. So it's there's that side. It removes the human error element that could happen because it's all automated by our integration. The second part is if you have an emergency, if you have the access control integration, then your visitors are actually accessing your building. So you can have an emergency list which is based on access to the building rather than who you thought was in the building. So that's quite a powerful solution as well.
Okay, and Francesca, we sort of touched upon it a little bit, but in terms of health and safety processes that a company or a customer might have, how is that integrated?
Another good question. So yes, that's true. We touched base a little bit on that before, but there is one feature specifically that we offer. It's called the remote registration, and it's the ability for for companies to invite visitors and send them a questionnaire. So to say yes or no if the security features combine with health and safety processes, we do definitely. That's the simple question, the simple answer. And you can send over videos and questionnaire again. Additionally, it's possible in Proxyclick to create a very end-to-end, fully touchless experience for visitors to go through the reception area without never even touching the iPad. It is possible to manage the occupancy at the workspace and many other features such as customization of the notifications, so you can inform visitors when you invite them, but also if you want to display information on the kiosk on the iPad when they go on the premises.
And Andy, I was wondering as well, is there a separate hardware needed to use ID Match?
For ID Match there is, yeah. So you'd need an ALA kiosk. So it's a special kiosk holder which will have a scanner for the ID card, so the ID Match will work.
Okay,
so, yeah,
lovely.
Still iPad based.
Okay, great. And actually, we've got one or two questions that are coming in from people that are watching at the moment. Say hello. The first one is, how easy is it to update watch lists? Don't know which one of you would like to take that.
I can take that, no problem. It is quite straightforward, I have to say. It's in about 2 to 3 clicks on the platform. So as soon as you log in, you will be able to go accessing the settings. And once you have your watch list design in front of you, you can just customize it. You can create records. So you will need just to import the records, as in the name and the email address and the surname, if you want, of the person you want to figure on your watch list. You will also be able to receive a notification, whether, of course, whether the visitor matches a record on the watch list. And we offer a big variety of guides on our help center, so everybody is super welcome to visit the help center or to get in touch with us if they need more information on that.
Okay, great, thank you. And Andy, I don't know if this is one that you can answer, but someone's asking, how is all the data stored by Proxyclick?
That's probably a better one for Frankie, actually.
Okay, yeah. Over to you, Francesca.
Yeah, so that's a good question. We use a cloud solution. So it's cloud solution is cloud-based, and it's actually all stored in Europe. So we will store them in a cloud system in Europe.
Okay, lovely.
I hope that answers.
Yeah, that's great, thank you. So another question is, do integrators need training on how to integrate the platform with the providers that you just showed? So I think that's responding to you, Andy, when you share the screen.
Yeah, so there's no training required. What we have is, for each of those systems, it's fully documented on everything that you would need to do in that system. So From our side, all we require is someone who's familiar with the system. So if you're integrating with NetApp AOS, we expect to be speaking to someone who's familiar with NetApp AOS. Everything else that's required by Proxyclick and what you would need to set up, and it's a straightforward deployment process for any of those access control systems, but we will guide them through it.
All right, lovely.
No special training.
No special training there. Hope that answered the question. We've got a few more coming in. This next question is, can the questionnaires be customized to match company branding? Is that one for you, Francesca?
Yes, happy to answer. Yes, I have to say literally everything in Proxyclick is customizable, and most of our features can match the branding of your company. And in particular, the questionnaire, you can include images. I think I mentioned that before. You can include images, JPEG, for example, or even videos. So during the whole process of the visitor going through the questionnaire, they will display your logo at all stages, plus these images that you can import directly from your database.
So you can really customize it to what you want.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, lovely. So this is a really interesting question. Do you think people are more inclined to use QR codes now compared to before the pandemic?
That is a good question. I hadn't thought of it from that angle, but yeah, potentially. Instead of being handed a physical RFID card and touching it and handing it back to someone, and if you work on reception and you're touching everyone's filthy cards all day, perhaps QR is a much better option there. It's not only something that we use for access control, we use it for our touchless check-in as well. So as Frankie mentioned before, you can go to that iPad kiosk and you can just show that to the exact same QR, and it will do the Proxyclick check-in for you. And you can go and you can use it on a turnstile or any access point and get through the door as well. So yeah, it's a good question. And I think you're right.
Yeah, indeed. I would like to add how comfortable and how easy it is to present your QR code if it's just saved on your emails on your smartphone. And nowadays, literally everybody has a smartphone. So that's also one big incentive of using QR codes.
Yeah, and I guess we're getting used to it anyway before the pandemic with traveling, with QR codes at the airport maybe, or for the train. But I guess now, it really is a culture shift, isn't it? That we're so programmed now for contactless movement around spaces because of what we've been through. And I wonder, Francesca, in terms of the market, how is it responding, I guess, building on what we're talking about now? What's the feedback been from customers? Have there been any surprises for you?
I think I can't say we had surprises. I think because my team, like not specifically the Europe team, but the whole customer success team, global Proxyclick, has been really ready to prevent surprises. So we were really, really on the spot for anything that came up all of a sudden. My team, our team, and not only the customer success team, I think Proxyclick as a whole, we are quite global. So we really hug a big variety of cultures and market, therefore. So I guess it will just depend a little bit on how countries use QR codes. There are like some countries, for example, in Asia specifically, I don't know why now I have, because I definitely manage also APAC, so I keep an eye always open on that side. They use QR code much more and for much more time compared to other areas geographically speaking. And so it's more about adapting our feature, considering the use of the QR code, the use of the type of check-in flow that you have. But it also depends industry by industry. So it is not only geographically, but it will be also depending on if a company is more used to receiving deliveries, or maybe contractors visiting on site on a regular basis. So the features will change a little bit, and use of the check-in flow will differ as well.
Great, thank you so much, Francesca. So we're almost out of time, actually. So one last very short question. I wondered, is there anything that our audience should be keeping an eye out in terms of future Proxyclick products?
I don't know if we can share information about what's on the pipeline, but definitely our employee features offering. So that part of Proxyclick then helps you managing the return to work from an employee perspective, not only visitors. We are expanding, and that's every day. Our pipeline is full. Our pipeline is ready to be delivered. Our features are ready to be delivered. So keep an eye out on that. And it's also possible to get in touch with customer success at any time just by visiting our website. There is an email, support@proxyclick.com, that everybody is welcome to use. And it's even possible to subscribe to our newsletter to receive information.
Great, lots of avenues that people can go to. And also just a reminder as well, if you do have questions at the moment and you want to speak to a Proxyclick representative, you can do that by booking in at the exhibitor booth. So, please do use that if that's something that you have some burning questions still that you want answered. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you to Andy Orwell and also to Francesca de Giovanni for joining us for our tech talk this morning. We will be back soon, and our next tech talk will be with HID Global. So we'll see you then. Goodbye.
Thank you.